and welcome to My Security TV. My name is Chris Cubbage and we're here at AusCert 2012 on the Gold Coast for an information security conference. I'm joined by Mr. John Cunningham, the Vice President and General Manager for Asia Pacific and Japan for Qualys. John, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Chris.
John, in terms of the investment in the Australian region that Qualys is making, maybe just go through where you've maybe come from and certainly where you are now.
Yeah, we've been around as a company for a number of years, probably 10 years now, and we've had presence in Australia through customers and through partners. It just reached a stage whereby we're bringing on a new suite of applications and new service, and we're seeing the Australian market was very much now a strategic launch pad for us into Asia. So last year we've decided to take the initiative. We started the Australian operations, and now we've got that up and running. Now we're looking to expand into the Asian market.
And what type of trends are you seeing in terms of the Australian market and the take-up of cloud services and the like?
Yeah, we're seeing there's this constant change in regulatory and requirements around compliance, and that constant change is driving organisations around from the annual ad hoc compliance audit to looking to a more continuous program of achieving compliance, but also doing it in a way that they can actually work with that ever-changing environment driven by the changing regulatory environment.
John, in terms of the take-up of services, what do you see as the main drivers? Is it compliance or risk or a bit of both?
It's a combination of both in the sense that what are they trying to protect? So most organisations are really concerned with trying to protect the customer data they hold. They're also trying to protect the IP that they hold within their environment. And that kind of then builds into they're really trying to protect their brand, because there's a number of organisations where it's been public that they've actually had incidences, and those incidences have resulted in as much brand damage, or in fact more brand damage than actual what was actually lost as far as when you look at risks as a cost basis. So that's what they're really trying to achieve. They're trying to limit their risk, and they're trying to use compliance to do it. But we see you need to have continuous compliance, because if you're not doing a continual and in a programmatic way, you're going to get drift. And then you'll start having a difference between your baseline and where you actually are, and the longer you leave it, then the more drift you'll see.
What do you see as the main compliance challenges for Chief Information Security Officers here in Australia?
In Australia and the rest of the region, but particularly in Australia, it's a lot of cases. There's no authority. A CISO is put into a role or put into a position, but they're kind of outside the normal IT and networking environment. A lot of times they actually haven't been given the authority, and there's no governance to make sure that they have the authority to have teeth around what they're trying to achieve within that organisation. So that's probably the biggest challenge I see for a lot of CISOs at the moment. Those organisations where there's a more program approach, and you've actually got the different parts of the business working together with good lines of communication, they seem to have less problems, and there'll be less challenges for the CISO to start implementing and putting changes of culture into those organisations around security.
And where are you seeing the CISOs, and are they alongside CIOs? Is that where you're seeing, or are they subservient to them?
It's a mixture. Some organisations we're actually seeing the CISO role come more into the overall company governance role, because it's seen as an overall company governance concern. Other organisations, they firmly sit underneath the CISO, but outside IT operations. So
Qualys it's been around for a decade.
Yeah.
What are your main products and services that you're providing Australian companies?
In Australia and globally, everyone operates off the same platform. So our products and services are very much standardised across the whole suite of services we provide. So we provide web application scanning, we provide vulnerability management, policy compliance and malware services at the moment. And we actually do a large proportion of the world's ASV scanning for PCI compliance. So when we work with an organisation, we're actually working with the patching team, the team that are actually looking after the patching, and the teams that are looking to actually see what vulnerabilities exist within their network. We're working very much with the risk, the audits and the compliance teams, so that their technical controls, so they can actually see that the technical controls are actually, that they've defined and documented, are actually being enforced within their environment, and be able to see trends, be able to see if there are any changes to what should be a documented control system. And then we're working with the people in the web application space, and we're working kind of two areas there. We're working in the production environment with those people responsible for the actual security of the web applications in production. We're now starting to work with the teams who are actually doing the software development lifecycle, so they can actually start developing more secure code, so when they're actually going to production, you're actually producing and putting into market more secure code. A lot of that comes around from a cost savings point of view.
And in terms of, I mentioned the Australian market, but in terms of IT support and services that Qualys provides, it's really throughout the whole region and globally. You're finding that standardisation is now fully accepted in terms of each country within the Asia Pacific?
Yeah, we're actually finding that there's more and more adoption of cloud-based services. And where that works into an organisation is that there's a standard suite of applications, but there's like a virtuous cycle where if we develop a new capability or add a new feature for one customer, the whole customer base gets the advantage of that. And they don't have to go and install a patch or install an update. It all comes unified within the platform. And this is a platform that we now have over 50 of the Fortune 100 companies. We've got a good proportion of the top 20 companies in Australia are already using these types of services. And this is in the FSI space as well. So there is more of an adoption to a service, because that service actually takes a lot of operational costs out of the customer's environment.
What do you see as the main benefits of the Qualys cloud platform services?
One of the key benefits is that the organisation can actually focus on the implementation and the utilisation of the applications, not the operationalising of the system. So with Qualys, there's a lot of controls, there's a lot of configuration, but they're all built into the application. We can actually turn on a customer evaluation and a customer service in 10 minutes. They don't actually have to go through a procurement cycle, procure hardware. All the normal things you need to operational service, as far as databases, as far as reporting engines, correlation engines, all these things are taken care of because we actually provide that in the platform. So we actually help organisations operationalise the service. So you've got a lot of total cost of ownership. There's a lot of cost savings for the organisations. People, they don't need specialists to implement, deploy, and then the ongoing management of the service, plus the costs that we actually are able to kind of do by having a common platform. We're able to actually offer a subscription model. And that subscription model then allows customers to kind of balance out and take services as they need it, so they're not up for an ongoing CapEx and OpEx expense.
And so you're really tailoring your services to match the specific client profile that you're dealing with at that time?
Well, at the moment the services are tailored to what we see as the global demand. And where we see the more demand, that's what drives the features and the roadmap of the development. But because it is a cloud, we've got very quick, we use an agile development process. So we've got a very quick iteration cycle. New product capabilities, major releases every 6 months, updates every 3 months. Twice a day we update the platform with vulnerability signature information. All that comes standard within a Qualys service. Where the tailoring is instead of having to have massive professional services cost, massive customization efforts, you actually can configure and have a highly configurable platform. We can configure it to your needs off a standard code base.
Qualys, it's a strong brand here in Australia. All the very best for Japan and the Asia Pacific. And John, thanks very much for joining me.
Chris, thank you for your time.
Good on you, mate. Cheers.